every one of you. Many of you joined us last year for this series of trainings, and I found that they were extremely valuable. I know the importance of each of you hearing from your peers on different things, and so just excited to have you. Today's topic is going to be one that's near and dear to my heart. I hope that it is to yours too. Um, as we kick off the new year and we think about what are we going to accomplish this year, how are we going to go about doing it? Are we doing things the right way, especially for those of you who are newer? But for those of you who are seasoned and tenured, the ever-changing world of compliance and making sure that we're doing things, generally speaking, that are right for our customer, protecting yourself and the company. We want to make sure that all of those things stay in front of you. Our guest speaker today is Jessica Andrews. Most of you know Jess. She's one of our top agents, does a great job. And those of you who know her well know that she doesn't mince words about too many things. And today will be no different. She doesn't sidestep the right way to do things. She says it like it is. And I'm excited from you guys to hear from her. We'll have some time at the end for questions, any things that you want to go over. For those of you who know somebody who couldn't attend, we will have it recorded and posted to SharePoint. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump in. Jess, you ready?
All right, perfect. And you guys should be able to see my screen. So can I get a verbal from you, Bonnie, that we've got my screen up?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Perfect. All right. So this really and truly can be summed up in don't lie, don't cheat, and don't steal. Okay. And the whole reason behind this, I mean, yes, we want to stay compliant, especially those of us who are AHIT certified and all of that kind of good stuff. However, we also we're here to make a living, right? So we want to be in a position to not only do the right thing by our client, but also at the same time do the right thing by our bank account. And when you do this the right way, and you really take everything off of the table, except who is sitting in front of me, what do they need, and how can I help them? Your business persistency, your income, and your referrals will absolutely skyrocket, as will your ability to service your own book of business, which that is above all else the most important thing really here. Okay. And really, when you're sitting down with a customer, kind of sit down and ask yourself, if you were on a recorded line and you knew that what you were going to be saying would be broadcast to the Department of Insurance and your boss, would you still say what you're saying? And if the answer to that is no, don't say it. Just stop where you're at. Don't say it. Find a different way to present what you're doing. And the second thing is what you're doing overcomplicating something to a point where you're going to kind of make your client feel kind of dumb and pushed in and confused. So they sign on the dotted line, right? And then they get just gobs of paper that come in after you leave, and they don't want to call you back because they felt confused and unclear in the first place. And so then they just cancel everything, right? And if you're looking in your client's face and you can tell Bonnie's confused, I need to sort through this. Stop, back up, and say the words. What questions do you have for me? Is all of this clear to you? And if the answer is no, tell me so that I can go back and change how I say it. And all of us on this call should be able to pitch our products, every single one of them, 15, 20 different ways. Because the thing that you say to one person may resonate, but then you'll need to change that slightly for the next person and slightly again for the one after that. And then the other thing is, and I see this problem a lot, and it is this all-in-one plan. And we'll talk about this as we get deeper into this presentation. That one is so confusing and upending for customers because they are expecting to get one bill for whatever you kind of baked in to the all-in-one plan. But what happens is they come back and they've got 3 or 4 bills. And now they're confused. And now they think that, well, really, I just wanted that hospital indemnity. But to have that, I've got to have this heart attack plan. So, you know what? I'm just going to get rid of everything. And that's a problem. And again, they're not going to call you back on it. And they're not going to take your calls when you get the lapse notification because they got confused. And this all comes down to, and we know in our guts, guys, or you should. Do you think that your client doesn't really want what you sold? Okay. And this is the thing that is hard to stomach and it is hard to hear. And if it hurts you and you think to yourself, oh no, that's not me, this is probably meant for you. If you sit down and you go and you look at your business persistency, and it is under realistically 80%, but definitely by AMBA standards, 70%, and you're sitting at a 60, 65, or even a 50% persistency rate, you are not selling the product. Full stop. If the business doesn't stick, you didn't sell it. And if you understand that and you internalize that and you hold yourself accountable for that reality, and you don't need to tell me about it, you don't need to tell Bonnie, you don't need to tell your FML or your TDL, you just need to internalize it yourself, recognize it yourself, and then privately fix the problem, your whole world will turn around. And I promise you that. And any issues that you're having with chargebacks or persistency, those will also go away. And what I've kind of done here is I'm going to talk to you about kind of 4 main things, okay? One of them is bait and switch. That's kind of where we're going to start. These are some of the most common situations that I see. All right. And this one down here, this all-in-one thing, we'll get into that. That is a bundling issue, okay? And then the third one is kind of a fear-mongering approach that a lot of us adapt because it feels easy. And then the last one that if you've ever sat on a training with me, you know I'm going to hit on is personal accountability, okay? So the very first thing today is do not bait and switch, all right? And here's what I mean by that. Aetna is a short-term care plan. It is not long-term care insurance. That is important. And I personally know that this is important because in my first month in the field, I sold Aetna short-term care as long-term care insurance because I didn't know better, okay? And then I got a phone call from one of my customers and they go, I'm looking at this paperwork from Aetna and it says on the first page, this is not long-term care insurance. So then I had to go back and resell that. And I did. And my manager at the time, Jeremy Brown, did an absolutely excellent job helping me understand this and work through this. And I'm going to kind of show you that here in a minute. But understand that you need to call the thing that you're selling what you're selling. And that means that you don't simplify MASA into travel insurance because those are different things. And that also means that you don't sell a cancer, heart attack and stroke, and hospital indemnity as one single plan. So the first thing is, what is short-term care? And short-term care, and this is probably the number one thing that I see, particularly with new agents. Oftentimes, agents will stumble over it and want to call it long-term care. And the thing is that when it is structured correctly, short-term care is an excellent alternative to traditional long-term care. And the reason is short-term care plans, like long-term, cover home health care, facility, adult daycare now with the Recovery Care Choice, all sorts of stuff. It covers all of those costs that are not covered by Medicare, but they pay benefits directly to the policy owner over a shorter period of time. Now, what your job is as the salesperson is to make Mrs. Jones understand that that is itself a benefit, okay? And so, why are we talking about short-term care? Well, Mrs. Jones, you're 72 years old. And most of our clients, like yourself, need some sort of long-term care insurance, right? They need to address the concerns about growing older that are not covered by Medicare. However, you're a diabetic with complications. And that means that I cannot get you that traditional long-term care policy. So in your case, I know that you don't qualify for it. So what we have to do is we have to look at what you can qualify for. And because your complication is hypertension, it's not neuropathy, it's not retinopathy, and because you are taking 30 units of insulin, not 51, I can set you up with a home health and facility care package that is going to work very similarly and have a good effect, but it is going to pay you over that shorter period, okay? And this is going to be something that you do qualify, that you can afford, and that is going to address the same concerns that you sat down and wanted to talk to me about when you filled out the return card saying you wanted to talk about long-term care. And this is where kind of understanding the language that a lot of our clients speak can be helpful to you, okay? Because they'll get confused when you say it. And you'll go, have you ever listened to Dave Ramsey? About half the time, your people are going to go, yeah. And if not, this long and skinny versus short and fat makes it make sense to them really quick. Because what you're going to say is, all right, a traditional long-term care plan is a long and skinny benefit. A short-term care plan is a short and fat benefit, okay? So a long-term care plan might say, and I always clarify, look, the numbers are better than this. And I'll go over those with you later as we kind of talk about what you need in a policy. But the first thing that I want you to do is understand what we're talking about. So I'm going to use simple numbers because I'm bad at math. I'm a liberal arts kid. I can correct your grammar all day long, but math is not my strong suit, right? So a traditional long-term care plan says, here is $50. And I'm going to give you $50 every single day. And I'm going to do that for the next 3 years. And you can do whatever you want with that money. Home health care, nursing home care, kind of whatever you need. But a short-term care plan is going to change that up. And it's going to say, look, here's $150. And I'm going to give you $150 every single day. But I'm going to be done paying you in 1 year. And you're going to have to choose, do I want to bucket my care in home health? Do I want to bucket my care in facility? Or do I want to spread my eggs across 2 baskets and look at kind of comprehensive coverage in both areas? Does that make sense? And they're going to go, okay, yeah, I get that. Okay. And once you do this, it becomes very easy for you to then talk to them about, all right, when you think about your own long-term care, do you think about yourself being here at home with your dogs, with your cat, whatever the case might be? Or do you think about yourself in a facility that you've kind of already picked out and they're going to take your cats? Most of the time, people want to stay home. That's great. If they want to talk about facility exclusively, that's great too. And I usually will try and guide them to a comprehensive solution. But you always want to set the stage this way so that when they get the paperwork that says this is not long-term care insurance, they are not surprised. They are like, yeah, I know what that is. Cool. This is going to be great. This is exactly what I need. It's going to pay me upfront. It's going to overpay me. Da 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 da. I went over this with Jess and she explained it all. That's what you want. Because when you get that, you get referrals as opposed to cancellations. All right. The other big one that I see here is I will knock on a door and I'll go, Jeff, I do the benefits for the retired teachers here in Texas. How are you? And Jeff looks at me real cynically, like he does. And he goes, well, I'm all right. What are you selling? Well, I'm not really selling anything, but look, I noticed you had this MASA policy with us. Oh, yeah. That's travel insurance. And what will have happened is that an agent will have sold the travel benefits of MASA exclusively. And the customer will have gotten confused and thought that they'd purchased travel insurance. And now Jeff's 80, he's not traveling anymore. And now he's canceled his policy. And the thing is that I can then go back in and I can sell another policy on top of it. And you lost your renewals and then you lost the second first year commission on it. And now I've got a customer for life, right? And that's not what you want. I mean, it works for me, don't get me wrong. But when somebody's sitting down with you at a table and you're going over all of MASA's, I call them the cool party tricks, right? Get your RV back, returns your dogs, helps out with your grandkids, all the things. Sometimes we forget to overlook that this works every bit as well here in Texas as it does while you're doing your cruise of the British Isles, okay? And when somebody looks at you and says, oh, so this is travel insurance, you want to go, no. First, foremost, and above all else, this works here too. And I always tell people, first thing to know is that for every single claim that I have filed for a cool party trick where somebody was very well marinated on a cruise and stepped off of an ancient ruin on a culinary tour and broke their leg in Peru, I've got 10 more of somebody had a car accident on a rural back road in Texas and needed to be care flighted. So that's the first thing. Secondly, when we're talking about travel insurance, that serves a different purpose. And it serves a purpose that is complementary to MASA, but that doesn't replace MASA. And likewise, MASA should never be thought of as something that replaces your travel insurance. Because let's say that you suffered a stroke on a cruise. Your travel insurance is going to help you cover some of those medical bills. All right. It's also going to have a deductible on it. And it may help you recover the costs of some of the excursions that you wound up not going on, what have you. But MASA is going to be the thing that gets you off the ship and brings you home. MASA is for the emergency medical transportation, not the whale watching tour that you missed, okay? It gets you off your cruise and to the nearest, most well-equipped hospital. And that's the thing that is always good to explain and to understand, and for people to understand. That and letting people know that is, first of all, going to keep them protected when they're traveling fully. And secondarily, it is also going to retain your business over the long run. Because what you don't want is somebody who goes, I'm just going to do it for this trip because I'm going to Ireland, and then I'm going to call in and I'm going to cancel it. That is not what you want, right? And so that's kind of the thing to know about. And here's the other thing that is so important to me. Insurance isn't scary. It really isn't. But very often, the number one pushback that I get at the door and on the phone, and that we all get, is people don't want to talk to the insurance lady. And the reason why is that people are not comfortable with their own mortality. And so even though insuring yourself and protecting yourself isn't scary, the things that can happen that cause you to need to insure and protect yourself are scary. All right. So what you want to do when you sit down and when you talk to someone is make them comfortable. Have conversations, right? Have honest ones, but do not create a fearful atmosphere and a fearful environment. And the number one way that I see this done is, oh my God, well, here's the deal. I know that you just told me that you just have high blood pressure. So, but that's, that metoprolol, man, I just don't know if you're going to qualify for coverage. So we should really probably focus on even seeing if they'll let you have this insurance. Number one, and hear me when I say this, if you do not know if Mrs. Jones will actually qualify for coverage, you either have not done your job well, you've not discovered problem situations, her plans, her needs, you've not gone through kind of that needs-based approach, or this is a brand new business reply card and you've never spoken to her. Okay. So what you always want to do, okay, you don't want to make the approval process seem scary. The actual application for the insurance needs to be the easiest, most comfortable thing that you do. Because at that point, there should not be any surprises for anybody about what it costs, what we're doing, or why we're doing it. We should already know all of that stuff, okay? Because what needs to happen when you sit down is you've got to sell a product or a suite of products: home health care, facility care, cancer insurance, da 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 da. You've got to sell those things, not the approval process tied to it. Because what you do when you start selling an approval process is you split attention. Now you've diverted attention from do I want this, do I need this, to can I even access it? This piece, can I access it, is something that you as the insurance agent should know if you're doing your job well and correctly. Okay. Are there exceptions? Yes, there aren't that many. I do this a lot. I promise you, I am surprised less than 5 times a year. Okay. What you have to do instead is, do you want this? Do you need this? So you want to keep focus on the product. You want to have an honest discussion where you are uncovering their needs. You can discuss the risks of waiting to apply, because sometimes the question will come up, well, what if I wait? Because I don't think I'm going to need this in the next few years. You can wait. I tell people that all the time. Yeah, you can absolutely wait. Now, if you do that, couple things. All right. Number one, it's going to be more expensive. I can tell you what it's going to cost right now today for a 70-year-old. If let's say you're 65 now, you do this in 5 years. I can't guarantee that's going to be the rate for a 70-year-old 5 years from now. All right. So it's probably going to be higher than even this number. But number two, everybody gets to ride that I'm real healthy pony, right? Right up to the part where it bucks us off. And we don't know when that's going to happen. And to your point, you're probably right. All right. It's probably not going to be tomorrow. But if it is, insurance is one of those things that nobody wants until they need it. But when they need it, they can't go out and get it. You can't wait till your house catches on fire and then call the homeowner's insurance lady to insure it. And I understand that. Okay. And then I just drive straight back over to, now let's talk about this. Are you leaning more towards home or facility or comprehensive? Now we're back onto product. Use real examples of declinable conditions. Don't look at them and go, well, you could be diagnosed with ALS tomorrow. Don't pick the rare stuff. Pick the common, simple stuff that people think of, particularly older people, as nothing burgers. Pick the mini stroke. And I tell people this all the time. Look, number one reason why somebody can't come back to me in 2 years, they had a mini stroke. Didn't do anything. Didn't hurt them. They had a little bit of numbness. They went to the emergency room. By the time they got diagnosed, they were fine. They had no side effects. They didn't need to do anything. They didn't need blood thinners, nothing. But now I can't insure them for 2 years. And now their price point's just going to tick up over that time. But look, when you're ready, this is quick and this is easy. I've kind of already talked you through most of the stuff. I don't think that you're really going to have any issues with it. And then drive straight back to the product. You want to focus on the product and the problems that it solves. Your product is a solution to a problem that you've uncovered. And you kind of want to rub salt in that wound and then offer them the band-aid as the product. And work with them. Present a solution that makes sense for them on the basis of what they're telling you. When you sit down with somebody and they go, I've got 5 daughters, 3 of them live on this street. One of them's coming over here in 20 minutes to make sure you haven't murdered me. Oh, that's awesome. So then you're going to be in great shape. You're probably not going to go into a nursing home. No, actually, Sarah, she lives right across the street. You can see the back house under construction now. Oh my goodness. Listen, you are in great shape. Here's what I would recommend for you is let's talk about a home health care plan. Because what that's going to do is it's going to complement and supplement the care that your daughters give you so that you don't strain them or stress them or their resources. And they're going to perk right up because now you are not telling them something that doesn't fit their needs, right? You're not telling them, well, I know Sarah thinks that, but you're probably going to end up in a home. No, we're saying, oh my goodness, this is absolutely perfect. Let's talk about how we can do this in a way that works with the back house that Sarah's building for you, right? And you can't do that if you're busy scaring them about an approval process, all right? So what you always want to do is initiate conversation, real, true conversation. I tell people all the time, I am a professional visitor. I want to come into your house. I want to pet your dog. I kind of want to hear a little bit of your life story. And then I want to talk to you about ways that I can make your life better and easier. To do that, I've got to ask questions so that I can expose risks. And I've got to get you to admit your own vulnerabilities. And the easiest way for me to do that is for me to show you mine. And for me to talk about the fact that I'm an only child in Texas and my parents live on a farm in North Carolina. And I will have to pry my mom out of there with a crowbar. So home health care is near and dear to me because I can't quit my job and fly to North Carolina and take care of mama. Can't do it. And I want your children to feel the same level of protection and security for you that I feel for my own family because of what I've been able to put in place. And those solutions are clean, those solutions are honest, and those solutions, because of that, are very, very sticky. Okay? And the last thing that I'm going to talk about today is this all-in-one plan. I know most of us, kind of the biggest things that we sell are Aetna, short-term care, Massa, all that kind of stuff. However, I do also see folks do this. This is another one that I have gone in a lot when I'm knocking on a door and I go, man, I see that you used to have cancer, heart attack, and stroke, and it looks like hospital indemnity with us. Yeah, I did. I really wanted the cancer piece of it, but I had to have the heart attack and stroke and that hospital thing. And I just didn't want all that. Wait. We can just talk about cancer. And now I've gone back and I've sold a cancer policy that you sold 3 years ago, except now it's going to stay on the books. Okay. And here's the deal. Can you sell cancer, heart attack, and stroke, and hospital indemnity in the same appointment? Yes, and you should. Okay. Can you refer to that as a single all-in-one plan? No. These should be plural. Okay. There's 3 plans there. And the reason is you don't want to do a cancer plan with a heart attack and stroke rider because then you lose recurrence on heart attack and stroke. That is 2 policies. It needs to be 2 policies. Tell your customer that. Explain it to them. Because sometimes they'll go, well, I just want one bill. Look, if I do that, it's going to short you benefit. It's going to make more sense and be more cost effective over the long run to do it under 2. They're going to say, oh my God, thank you so much. Good. Thank you for looking out for me. That's that. Okay. You also don't want to pitch this as, look, here's this. It's going to cost you $75. That client then is expecting one $75 bill, and then they get three $25 bills, and they're confused. And then the mail comes, and they've got 3 different policy packs, and they go, well, I didn't think I got all this. And in the process, you implied that those policies are dependent upon each other, meaning you implied that to have cancer, they needed to have hospital indemnity or vice versa. That's not true. And that is considered bundling. And that, friends, is against the law. So just don't do it. It creates so much confusion. It creates needless chargebacks. It confuses customers. And at the end of the day, it is going to cost you business, right? It's not worth the short-term app count to do this. It just really isn't. Okay. Now, if you want to go in and you want to talk about cancer plan, let's say they've sent in a business return card, and you go, now look, Bonnie, what a lot of my customers like to do is when they are protecting themselves for cancer, they also want to protect themselves from kind of the second big thing, which is stroke. And this is how we do that. You can do that. That is not misleading in any way. Okay. That's getting you to the same point, but it's doing so honestly and with integrity. Okay. That is something I see it a lot. I clean it up a lot. To be honest with you, I make a lot of money off of it, kind of on the back end. But just don't do it. It is messy. It is ugly. Don't do it. And at the end of the day, when you really sit down, you really want to hold yourself accountable. This is your business. Okay. And when somebody sits down with me, they are working with me. And they know and they recognize that I am proud, not just of my business, but of the services that I offer to my customers. Some of these ladies know that I would fight a grown man for them if it came to it. And if I knock on your door and you tell me, I've been thinking about canceling this cancer policy because I've been trying to claim on it for a year and I haven't been able to get it. Can I come see you on Tuesday? We're going to get this done. And I'm going to spend an hour of my time making sure that we have everything in place to claim for you. If I need to come back out, I'm going to do it. I'm going to make sure that you get your $20,000 or $30,000 check because that is the right thing to do. Might I make money from that otherwise? No. Are you going then, though, to tell your neighbor, oh my God, I just got this $20,000 check. I can't believe this. And then your neighbor's going to call me and ask about that cancer policy? Yes, they are. And that also happens all the time. So I would tell you guys at the end of the day, if you can look at yourself in the mirror and tell yourself, honestly, I treated Mrs. Jones exactly the way that I would treat my own mother. And I offered her the coverage that I would want my own mother to have. You've done your job and you've done it well. If you can't do that, you need to fix it. And if you go through and if you fix it, again, you don't need to tell me. You don't need to tell Bonnie or Bron. You don't need to tell your FML. You don't need to tell your TDL. You just need to sit down, go to work, and change what you're doing moving forward. And if you actually do that, I promise you, your customers will be happier. You will be happier because you will feel better about your job. You will have the pride in it that you can then showcase. And that means that your income, your persistency, and your referrals are all going to go up. All right. So with that said, there's my contact information. If any of you guys need anything, if you ever want to talk to me about something on my Calendly, I actually have an agent consult section. You can go in, you can schedule it. Just make sure you give me 24 hours notice, please. But with that, I'll kind of open it up to questions.
I saw somebody had their hand raised just a few minutes ago.
That was me. I was going to ask her to hide the banner that was concealing part of the wording on the slides that said that you were sharing your screen, but it's all good.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, what's up, Carrie?
Yeah, just a quick question. So I actually put this in the chat. So you're selling with HealthSpring, let's say you're selling the cancer policy, right? You add the heart and stroke on that. I was saying, is that 3 separate policies then, but that's 2 separate policies then? Is that correct?
That's two. It depends on how you do it. Okay. So if you're working on HealthSpring, and I'll pull this up so that you can see it.
Yeah.
Da, 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 da. Give me a minute. All right. Do, do, do. So when you are working on cancer, heart, and stroke, once it loads, okay. All right. So let's quickly say we've got a 66-year-old.
Mhm.
And he comes over and he says, I'm really interested in cancer. Okay. And you say, all right, cool. We want to look at this for an individual. There are ways that you can do this. Okay. If you do it here as a heart and stroke restoration rider, we are still under one policy. All right.
Mhm.
And now you're getting $5,000 here from the cancer policy.
Right.
And first, foremost, and above all else, when you do the cancer, where is it? There is a recurrence, or there should be. Okay, actually,
It's a,
we're in heart and stroke, I think. Yep, never
yeah.
mind. So we're in heart and stroke. Okay, so if
Mhm.
we have a heart and stroke plan with $5,000, you always, 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 always need to be selecting this restoration rider. It
Mhm.
is $1.70. What that means is that this $5,000 will pay you up to 2 different times. If you add a cancer rider onto it, now you still just have one policy, but this cancer policy here does not have recurrence on it. Okay. So what you should always be doing is saying, all right, if we're going to do cancer and heart, we need to do this under 2 policies. Make it clear that you're doing it under 2 different policies, because now if I come up here to my cancer and I can now go down to my individual, now I can have that same $5,000 policy, and for $1.30, again, I have recurrence on it. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So
That makes
now
sense.
I've taken my max benefit from 5,000 for heart attack and stroke and 5,000 for a second heart attack and stroke, and then only 1 cancer claim to 4 total claim abilities. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And then if you add the hospital indemnity, that's another one.
That's a 3rd policy. Yes.
Okay.
And
So
so
that's
what
what you
I
mean.
will, yeah,
Okay. All
yeah.
right.
Because what I see, and I can only speak to what I see as an agent here in Texas, and I do see this often, is I'll knock on somebody's door and they'll have cancer, heart and stroke, and hospital indemnity, and they'll all be termed policies that are effective, let's say 12/11, and then they are termed like 12/15. And you go, you held on to this for 3 days? And you'll knock on the door and kind of just be like, hey, I noticed this. Looks like you might have had some interest in it. This just looks odd to me. And I wanted to stop by and kind of figure out what had happened and make sure you intended to cancel this. And 9 times out of 10, what they look back at me and say is, I only wanted the cancer. And they threw this all in one thing at me, but then I got 3 bills and I got all this stuff and I just wanted this one piece. Well, now 3 policies have canceled. And in all probability, you could have had a larger cancer that stayed on the books that renewed at 6.5%, over the last 5 years, and it's just vanished. And now I'm going in and kind of cleaning up that mess. That's what I'm telling folks not to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, and those are also three separate policy numbers then, if you do it that way,
Yes,
right?
that's exactly correct. Yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
if you do it as one policy, again, I don't recommend it because of recurrence issues. That's fine. Then you're not misleading anybody. You're not lying to anybody. When you have three separate policy numbers and you've sold this as an all-in-one plan, singular, it's a problem.
Got it. Thank you. That makes sense now.
You're
Okay,
very
cool.
welcome.
Hey, Jessica, this is
Anybody?
Sudi. Yeah.
Hey, Sudi, what's up?
Hey, not a whole lot. First of all, nice job. Well done. Question that I have for you, and many times when we're out there embarking on people and you're visiting back your clients, now that I'm working back in the field, when you conclude everything, how big are you onto two things? Either writing them a handwritten thank you card, thanking them for their time to conserve business more, and then number two, do you ever do a consolidated one pager for them so they understand what they have in their home, who you are as a main point of reference, because in the event of something were to ever happen to you, you want to get the children involved, et cetera, but you're doing what's right for the client. Recently, I got a phone call from one of my agents back in Indiana, and he gave me a phone call stating that he embarked on one of the clients and he saw that one pager there, which helped. So can you explain to people what the one pager would do from your perspective?
I'll show you one actually. So I don't do this. I'm not going to tell you that I do this in every time. Okay. I do this. Let's see here. I do this periodically, kind of on request. And this is very helpful. I will also do this if I knock on the door because I see 2,000 policies and kind of everything is in a different place. And a lot of times what I do is I actually, like, this is a form letter that I have. Thank you for trusting me with your insurance need. Here's an outline of your current coverage with AMBA. I sign it. And I'll also always include my business card in here. And I'll show everybody what's going on here. Here is your Medicare supplement. Here is the billing company, Cigna National, CNHIC. Here's the premium. This is what it is. Here is your home health care. This coverage is intended to pay for home health care services not covered by Medicare. Here's your benefit. Here's your benefit maximum. Here's your maximum policy value. Here's your premium. Here's the billing company. Here is Aetna Continental Life facility. It's intended to pay for nursing home costs not covered by Medicare. Combined total, there were two policies here. Premiums are $88.15, $62.71. Here's the billing company. And then I even have a note, you have two of these policies because we increased coverage a few years ago and wanted to make sure you preserved lower rates from the initial purchase.
Yeah, thank you,
So
Jessica.
yes, I do this. I'm not going to tell you that I do it every time. I will also tell you on the topic of handwritten thank you notes, that is something that I used to do. I do not have the time anymore. That does not mean that it's not a good idea.
Right.
So what I kind of do instead of that and in lieu of that is at the end of every year, and this is something that I personally do with my book of business, it is my money that pays for this. I work through Simply to Impress, which is the same company that I order my Christmas cards from. And I actually make a like a postcard and I put it in like a Christmas card envelope. I address it. Every single person that I have written business to that year, and you can actually see, you go back into my Dropbox. I'm wildly type A. Here is every application that I wrote in 2015. Here's everybody's name. It has all of their information. When I click on it, it opens right up. Their address is there, everything. And what I do is it is a generic, thank you for trusting me with your insurance needs this year. And the tagline that I always use on it, and I send these out typically in about September. And the rationale behind September is Medicare. And what it says is, thank you for trusting me with your insurance needs. A referral is the best compliment that you can give me. And it has a link to my Calendly page on it. Also has all my contact information and my lovely little mugshot. The thing that's nice about that is it is a blanket thank you that goes out once a year. And it also sets me up because on the back, I note that I do a lot of Medicare work. If you or someone you know needs assistance, which means they have questions about their current Medicare plan, their current Medicare plan is not working, they think or feel that they are paying too much for either Medicare coverage or for their prescription drug coverage, please call me. This can be you, this can be your friends. I don't really care. Please send that information my way. I probably get, I'm going to tell you 25 to 30 referrals off of that a year. It's huge. So I do it, but I do it differently. But that also probably cost me about $600 to get out the door.
Nope. Well done. Thank you.
Do we have any other questions for Jeff? Okay, well, we'll go ahead and close out in just a second. I want to first of all thank Jessica. I know that you're busy, and when you spend your time trying to help others be better at what they do, that doesn't go unnoticed. So thank you for that. Thank you to those of us who joined. A couple of things I want to say is, if I were looking for who to call and refer my mother to, it would be somebody like Jessica, right? It's somebody who, like, would you refer yourself if you had to look at the way you conduct business? You heard her say, you know, it's an important piece of all of our puzzle. We're not just here to sell policies. We're here to solve financial needs of our customers and do what's best for them. You know, a couple of things we hear all the time. I hear this phrase, core products, core products, core products. What are core products? Core products are what your customer needs. And there's no way that you know what that is without talking to them about what we have available and talking to them about their needs. Do not go in there and sell them what has the least underwriting, what you think you're going to get paid on quickest. That will kill your career. I'm just telling every one of you, integrity is the backbone of this job. And if you don't do it the right way, it will catch you and it's not going to sustain you. You heard Jessica say she's making a lot of money doing things the right way. Training, stay on top of everything. I saw Tim Gustafson on here telling Jessica, thank you. The day you think you know everything here is the day you're going to become stagnant. Make sure you're learning, make sure you're doing things. And, so, you know, your success is going to be a byproduct of doing things the right way. Wesley Breeden, are you out there?
I am. Good morning, Bonnie.
Yeah. Hey, tell me about your career and integrity matters, and then close us out if you don't mind.
It matters more than you ever know. And I don't think you can have a career as long as mine by taking shortcuts and all that kind of great stuff. And I do want to say, Jessica, thanks for investing your time and energy in these folks today. Jessica's most valuable thing that she has, because I know how much she can earn, is her time. So, you know, send us all a bill, because it was definitely worth it. And we would definitely pay all that for going forward. But does anybody know what the Hippocratic Oath is? Everybody heard of that before? Hippocracy, Hippocratic Oath. That's the oath that all doctors take when they become physicians. And it's a long speech and a preamble or whatnot. But the Hippocratic Oath says, do no harm. So the doctor's first job, no matter what walks into their office, what walks into their operating room, all that kind of great stuff, their number one job is to do no harm. And I love that profession has a motto like that, and we should have one like it too. Do no harm. But sometimes we think do no harm means just don't do the shady stuff, right? Don't do the things that you know are in the gray area or in the red area that we shouldn't be doing. And Jessica covered a lot of those things. But doing no harm in our job also means doing some of the things that you're not doing. You know, a lot of harm is caused each and every day by our agents out in the field because we keep our mouths shut and we don't ask the questions that we should. We don't know the products as well as we should, so therefore we don't bring them up, or when we bring them up in the wrong way because we only know little bits and pieces here and there. We had a meeting with the East Region last Monday with Brad from Massa, and the questions that were asked on that call gave me the heebie-jeebies, because if you looked at a Masson agreement, it's only about 4.5 pages. And if you haven't read this thing right now to know when an ambulance is covered or not covered, it makes me very scared for our clients out there. So do no harm. The reason that we do harm is for one or two reasons, right? One is fear. That's one of the reasons that we do harm. And it's because we fear that if I ask this question, I may get an answer that I don't like, and therefore I'm not going to bring it up. It's fear that they're going to ask me a question and I don't know how to answer it. Therefore, I'm not going to bring it up, right? So fear is a main driver. And if fear is something that is keeping you from saying the right thing, doing the right thing, or bringing up things like our fixed index annuity product at the end of your presentation, you have to get over that, because you cannot be a benefit advisor if your fear is depicting the success of Mrs. Jones' retirement. It is not fair to them. It is not fair to their client base. It's not fair to you. And so if you have refused to do a large portion of your job, whatever the product is, because fear is standing in your way, I'm going to put you on the clock and you got to get over it today, or you can't do this job. And I don't care how much AP that you produce all the time, right? The other reason that we do harm with our agents or with our clients from time to time is because we're lazy. It's easier for me not to do it this way. It's easier for me not to bring up this product. It's easier for me to cut my presence short or not give the presentation the way that it should. It's easier for me to bundle things this way or to say it that way, because that way, that one retiree that gave me some gruff about it 3 years ago, I never have that client again. Fear and easiness is what makes terrible salespeople. And it also what makes your policies not stick. It also what limits your trust. And it also raises the anxiety of our clients. When you walk in that door, clients' anxiety is high and their trust is low. And our job is to make the anxiety lower and their trust to go high. And so think about that today. Do no harm. And sometimes that is doing something, and sometimes that's doing nothing. But a lot of times you need to flip those and do something or do nothing when you think that you should be doing the opposite. Hey, I just sent an email out to the East region where we have paid $83,000 in bonuses over the course of the last 5 weeks to the East region. And we are only about 35% of those bonuses out there. So I know a lot of people on this call are getting big bonus checks this past Friday, this Friday, all that kind of great stuff. We're on a roll here in the field. Momentum is king. Protect it the best that you can. I'm super proud to be a part of this group, proud of being a part of this company, and proud, super proud of being a part of the best field force out there. So Jessica, thank you for that. Bonnie, thanks for your leadership. And let's go have a huge week. We got a couple days left. Let's make it happen. All right.